Welcome back on this glorious and amazing day, and thanks for joining the Isaac Wolowik channel, where incredible individuals like yourself that want to seek the truth and the depth of life and continue to evolve and build their strong character and learn how to build that emotional and spiritual firewall so they could conquer life and get through this beautiful planet Earth. So we started last week to talk about how parents deflect when they begin to see their children getting onto the internet, maybe going places that they shouldn't, and it's always the internet, nothing to do with them. So let me share with you a fact, and maybe half of the people listening belong in the group that actually went through what I'm talking about, and half of you never went through it. Well, I think it's going to be less than half. And you could always talk to those that got in trouble on the internet. Children want to be noticed, loved, and connected to. And I will bring up my research that I brought up a few months ago, I believe, when I interviewed hundreds of young teens, and I asked them how much from their inner soul do they express, do they connect, do they talk with their parents? Their answer, it's miraculously, but every single 12 and 13-year young child said the exact same answer, besides for one person. They said, I conceal 90%. Like we spoke about then, because they feel like they're going to be judged and not understood and mocked and put down and belittled and rejected. So they don't do it. So this is very, very clear to me, what I've seen over the decades, personally talking to so many adults and to children. There is no connection. Yeah, when I say there's no connection, I don't mean that there is no connection. I mean there is no deep emotional bond and trust and understanding between a child and a parent. We need that love. We need that connection. And no, it's not so much about sexuality, that when the teen gets older and that's what he's looking on the internet to find someone. That is part of it. But like I explain, and I never heard anyone else talk about it but me, but I will say, because that's what I see and that's what I feel. When the child, till they hit puberty, there is this very deep and strong desire, need for bonding. Then once they hit puberty, it intensifies by so much more with the sexual desire. But within the sexual desire, there's more than just sex. That is a connection, because within the sexuality, within the sexual pleasure, you have a deep sense of, oh my gosh, this person cares for me. This person sees me. Not necessarily is it always true, but we won't go into it now. That'll be a separate series that one day I will put out, which explains sex, but that's a separate topic. So it just intensifies. I come home, like we mentioned in the last few weeks, as a young teenager. You know, I'm very unhappy. You're going to sleep too late. I'm very unhappy. What were you doing? I don't know if I could trust you. And it just goes on and on, which is one of the worst things one could tell a child. Even if you don't trust your child, you don't want to tell it to them, because you only make things for them and for you, make it worse for them and for you. So the child now is deprived. The soul is deprived from love, deprived from connection. And someone out there, a molester, someone that's desperate, knows exactly how to give that attention. And they're very, very kind to your child. Very nice. They ask them about school. No predator ever gets up there on the internet and says, hey, you look like a hot girl. Why don't we meet up by this motel and this time, and I'll look after you. It almost doesn't happen. If it does, maybe it's 1 in 100,000, 100,000. Based on the hundreds of stories that I've heard, it's always exactly what your child is looking for. How was school? How are you feeling? And half of the time the kids talk about their horrible relationship with their parents and the guy or the gal listens very, very nicely. And they're attentive. And we connect, we as us, the deprived children, the deprived young adolescent, connect such a deep, OMG, he loves me, he notices me. What happens next? Join me next week. We'll find out what happens next. But till then, please remember, you are way greater than you think you are. See you then.